Last time we talked about the graph of f of x equals 6x plus 3 divided by x minus 2. This time we will work more on that. Is we want to do is to find the inverse of the same function, 6x plus 3 divided by this one. So how do you find the inverse? And here are the steps. Step 1, solve for x in y equals 6x plus 3 divided by x minus 2. Okay. So basically you use y to replace f of x and then solve for x. Step 1, solve for x. Then both sides multiplied by x minus 2, you can basically then cancel that. So right hand side is 6x plus 3. Left hand side you have to use distributive property. X times y, negative 2 times y. Now here the strategy is that you want to solve for x is to isolate x. Let x stand alone. Alright. Okay. Now then you got to do is move 2y to the right. So both sides add 2y, and then you cancel that. Left hand side is xy, right hand side is 6x plus 3, and then plus 2y right here. Again, to isolate x, you have to put all the terms containing x together. So that's why you got to move 6x to the left. So both sides subtract 6x. And then you have these two cancelled. The left hand side is x times y minus 6x. Right hand side has 2y plus 3. Pull x out, that's in common. And then you have y minus 6 left. And then both sides divided by y minus 6. Then you should all cancel these two. So x on the left stands alone. Y on the right hand side is 2y plus 3 divided by y minus 6. Okay, that's step 1. You solve for x to isolate x. Step 2 is to exchange x and y. That means if it were x there, you replace it by y. If you see y, you write x. So that's it. Then this is the final answer. All you may write is f inverse of x is 2x plus 3 divided by x minus 6. Okay. Now, again here we need the domain. The domain is what? Its denominator cannot be 0. So you may then write x minus 6 cannot be 0. Then it tells us what? It tells us x cannot be 6 because 6 minus 6 is 0. Okay. Then x cannot be 6. The interval representation would be from negative infinity to 6, then from 6 to positive infinity. Make sure here is the round bracket. Then it tells us that 6 is excluded. 6 is not included. So that's the domain. Okay. Now, how about the range? Range, you know, the you want to see is this is rational function, so you want to see the horizontal asymptote, because again the degrees both numerator and denominator are 1, and then the ratio of the leading coefficients will be the horizontal asymptote. So y equals 2 over 1, which is 2. So the horizontal asymptote is y equals 2. And again, the meaning for the asymptote is the graph can go very closely to y equals 2, but can never be 2. Okay, so then it tells us that y can never be 2, or the range using the interval representation would be what? Let me move this a little bit higher. Yeah, like that. Okay, so that will be negative infinity to 2, and then 2 to positive infinity. Okay, so basically you can see here the domain is not 6, range is not 2, which is opposite to the previous one. Previously the domain cannot be 2 and the range cannot be 6. So for the inverse, domain cannot be 6. Domain cannot be 6. And then range cannot be 2. Okay, range cannot be 2. That's the range. So it should be opposite totally. Now, how to draw the inverse? You know, there are two options. One is you do is, here is y1, you input your y2 here. This is your y2, okay? And then you hit the graph, it's going to show up. If you had y2 right here with this function, okay? Yeah, put this function right here. But with TI-83 calculator, you don't even have to input this one. Here are the steps. Okay, you want to do from where? You want to do is at this state. If it is not, you got to do is previously was there, huh? So you have to do is second quit, get out of there. Okay, here are steps. You do second draw, or you may see the program. Okay, it's bottom, and then draw inverse. Draw inverse. Inverse you can see. You can scroll down a little bit. Number 8. Okay, it's draw inverse. And then you hit enter. So probably I should add where? Yeah, enter. So let me put where? Maybe here. Okay. Yeah. So draw inverse, enter, and then variables. So this bottom, and then highlight Y variables. Move your cursor. Here is variables highlighted. Move your cursor to the right. Okay, Y variables. And then function is number 1. You may hit number 1, or you may just hit enter since 1 is highlighted. And then Y sub 1 shows up. You may hit 1 or enter. This time we hit 1 and then enter. So you see it's drawing. Alright? Yeah, it shows up. And then that's basically we want to talk about in this lecture. Okay? So in this lecture we have talked about 2 things. One is find the inverse, the domain, and range. The second thing is graph the inverse of this one by using TI-83 calculator. Okay, there are 2 options. One is input this one into Y sub 2. Another is using the without inputting the inverse function, and those are the steps. Okay, those are the steps to find the inverse, in the graph of the inverse function. Okay, I'll see you next time.